G'day legends, welcome back to Roadside, presented by Zwift. We are here for our classics preview, our opening weekend preview, Tommy. We've got a massive episode. This is where all the action starts for me, Tommy. I don't know about you, but the classic season, the opening weekend, it really just sets it all up for me.
Yeah, bring it on. Opening weekend, the classics, the pavé, it's time. It's bygone years or months since we had Tour Down Under, UAE Tour. It's all in the rearview mirror, isn't it? Ancient history. Who cares who won, who lost? What's happening this weekend is so exciting, the classics. The genuine races that make you want to stay up late.
Yeah, 100%. That's the best way to say it, actually. We're going to be previewing Omloop Nieuwsblad, KUURNE-BRUSSELS-KUURNE, and talk about some of the other classics coming up. But we're also going across some news that's happened last week, Tommy, and also some of the recent results we'll get to as well. First up, there's some big stories. One cycling, the saga just sort of bubbles on in the background. It is simmering. Rwanda Worlds, there's two conflicting stories that came out this week, which is, that's boiling for sure, Rwanda. And then we're talking about a few other things in relating to what's happening over the last fortnight in cycling. But Tommy, you were back racing over the weekend, mate, and I heard you shaved the pins.
Yes, mate, shaved the pins. Hey, that's how you know I'm back. Look, it was proper windy, proper easterly over the weekend.
Yep.
B-grade crit, 30, 40 odd or whatever on the start line. There I am yammering away at all the boys. Oh, put it in the gutter. And there I am. And split went up the road. Anyway, I missed it, unsurprisingly. I may have caused that split, so I may have just let the wheel go. And then I looked around. There's only 4 riders behind me to chase.
Oh, no. I tell you what, though, that's what it's like when you've done a lot of racing and then you do nothing and you come back. All that's left is your mouth. You're just there going, I'll close the wheel, come through, put it on the gutter, give us some room.
That was me in B grade, mate. I was marshalling the juniors. I had some of them. I was like, no, just put it to the left and just go hard. And they did it, and then they were out next lap. But yourself, mate, you were in Tassie, Tour of Tasmania. The third stop of the Pro Velo Super League. Success?
Yeah, off the mainland into Tassie. The red-eye flight got me on the way there. Now,
that's hard work.
I don't usually have to take the red-eye flight, but in this case I did, and just because of my day job. And I tell you what, I did not recover after the first day. I never recovered from the red-eye. I had 2 hours sleep on the first night, and it was a 4-stage race. I was in the bin the whole time. I was really struggling, but it was good though. Unfortunately, the Pro Velo Super League on the men's side is actually wrapped up now.
Yeah, it's all over, isn't it?
Jack
Ward's won it.
He's won it. The women's is kind of it's still on a knife edge as to who will win that, but Jack Ward has definitely won the men's already.
Well, that's what I noticed. That teams now are actually opting to not send riders to that last race because they kind of thought, well, the honeypot, the golden pot or whatever of the stagiaire role with Jaco is kind of done, to be honest. All they needed was like a podium for Jack Ward, and really that would have made it even more difficult to upset him in the next
Yes, well, because Blake Agneletto's going to Europe.
Yep.
So he's gone now. So he was in second place. And this is the Pro Velo Super League, which is Australia's premier domestic comp. They've televised it on TV. It's a big deal here in Australia. The winners get a contract to Jaco Alula's development team. Now, if it was up to me, I'd just sign Jack Ward and I'd sign Connor Wright straight away. And on the women's side, I'd just sign Talia Appleton, and I'd also sign the young, Sophie Ma.
Yeah, Sophie Ma.
Took out the chocolate. So that would be up to me. I'd sign him. But I did hear something in the
Jerry.
cars.
Give me the purse strings, mate. I'll make you a few savvy signings.
I did hear something in the cars, Tommy.
What do you hear?
There's not. You hear a lot of stuff, when you're in and around the race scene. It's not locked in that they choose one rider. There could be more than one contract given.
So you're saying it's going to be up to the team's discretion?
Yeah, it's not just one.
Is that that's on record?
I can't say where it came from, but look, that's just what I heard. It's no given thing, Tommy, that there's only one contract. Because what if you've got 5 beasts? And you're like, okay,
Well, that's just a display of how good the racing is that nurtures the talent.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes you've got to make hay while the sun shines, pick them up because something might happen in the future. So, got to get them up. It was really good, Tommy, but, good to be back here and good to get ripped into the classic season. Now, don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, please. Like us and also put a comment in there and follow us on at the Press Room Podcast, as well as all your podcast players, Apple, Spotify. They're the main ones. What do you listen on?
You think I listen to it?
Yeah. I know you do, mate. 5 times over, bump our numbers up.
No, on the Spotify, 3
Okay.
times, 3 times the normal rate, pumping through it. Yeah,
And rate. And also, big thanks to Zwift as well before we get stuck in the episode. Zwift are our title sponsor. The Zwift Academy is on. You can watch that on YouTube. I think the first...
I saw that pop up in my feed the other day.
Yeah, first 3 or 4 episodes are out. I think it's on GCN's channel. Just Google or search on YouTube, Zwift Academy. There's 2 riders that stand out for the men's and women's head and above, according to the power test. So it's kind of almost, you can kind of see who they're going to pick already. But good watch. Nonetheless, we've got our roadside news, recent results coming up, Tommy, right after this.
It was the FE Sports Roadside News here, Jet. There's been a little bit of racing happening as much as we want to ride it off and look what's coming forward. Pog, the big dog, he dominated the Middle East. He got the chocolates at UAE Tour. They did it easy. He sort of took the piss a bit, to be honest, in certain terms. Jet, you were on the money.
Big Milan.
Johnny B. Good.
Mate.
He
so good.
was a monster, particularly in the first stage. Went over there. Trek had a really good race. I believe they had second overall with Ciccone as well.
Yep,
he performed really well. It was really impressive, but across the board, Jonas Vingegaard, he striked back in Portugal at the Volta Algarve. He was kind of in nowhere for a large portion of the race.
He was.
Took to the sort of the time trial. Obviously, the man, he just got on the bike by himself and just ripped it to shreds. But
he was 15 seconds back when that final time trial was in. And he took off Almeida, my man, who was sick on the last day, by the way, after he piped him on the first climbing stage.
Do you reckon
Almeida.
he's planted that himself? You get rolled in the TT and then you just tell everybody you're a little bit crook.
Remember what I said? He's my man that'll go up to another level this year. But I noticed some tech on Vingegaard for the TT.
What was this?
Well, he has, we've heard about you saw a few years ago, it was the core body temperature, not regulated, but that's how they measure core body temperature. They're wearing them on their it's like a heart rate strap, and that way they can monitor the temperatures of their riders in the car and say, if they're getting too hot, monitor the training, that sort of stuff. But this is something called the time wear breathing sensor. So in the again, this is connected via sort of a heart rate strap, and it's measuring their breathing rate. And so
their breathing rate.
Yeah, it's something for that. I think the information is being fed back to the cars so that live during the time trial, the directors can go, okay, your breathing rate's too heavy, you need to back it off. And it's just one of those extra...
I thought that's what a heart rate monitor is for.
I know, that's what I thought, but I think it's just one of those extra things, extra data points they could use to help them form a good decision on the fly. But it doesn't matter, it's just another interesting bit of kit. It's called Time Wear, and Jumbo-Visma are the first team I've seen to be using it. And also another thing with Vingegaard, guess, what's the shortest crank length on a bike you've ever heard?
Oh, probably around the sort of the low 60s, maybe on cross bikes, mountain bikes.
A lot of people seem to be going the 165s these days. That seems to be the movement. But on Vingegaard's TT bike, he was riding a 150mm crank.
150. 150.
That's ridiculous.
When I see headlines like that, I just block it out of my brain and I just ignore.
Why would you?
What's the
The
science
pedal
behind
would be
it?
bigger than the crank.
Yes.
I don't know what the science is. It used to be about leverage, and they do the big 180cm Freeberg style.
Yeah, but that was Adam Hansen who would be rocking 180mm crank, and then he'd move his cleat all the way forward in his shoe, or his shoe all the way forward to get the leverage. Yeah, that's what he did. That was his science.
They did some village stuff back then, though.
Well, Hansen made his own shoes. He was the bloke behind the carbon.
He needed a hobby, mate.
He did, and he
got
created
his lips
one.
done. He's had work. Have a look at it. Have a look at Adam Hansen. I saw him at TDU and I looked very close at his face. He looks like Bert Newton. His face is... He's had work done to his face.
He's probably just feeling a lot healthier after retiring as a professional sport.
He's been laying up that Botox instead of carbon.
Between you laying into Welsford when he gets a pointy nose, he's going.
No, that's a good thing. He gets a pointy nose when he's sharp and ready to go. But have a look at Adam Hansen's face. Look at the recent images. His face and his lips. There is work done.
Okay.
Take it to the bank, mate,
well,
as
I
they
don't
say.
mind it. Anyway.
Now, Wout, he was okay. Anna DeLee as well was not looking great, but I think if you're thinking about your bigger goals for these riders, Wout van Aert, Anna DeLee, Garner, Gourmet as well, riders we saw across the last week, they were there. They didn't get any victories, but...
They were there burying themselves. They were doing what sort of Pogacar was kind of doing over at UAE, just
for this
tightening the screws. And
opening weekend.
I think a lot of them actually would have come under load. They would have arrived at this race and they would have had a bit of sort of a cumulative load, particularly down in southern Spain, down in the Iberian Peninsula. Yeah, they would have popped across from Valencia or somewhere after having done a week. And then you go do a couple of days of racing, you get out of there.
You love dropping all that. Geographical stuff, don't you?
Just because I'm a man of culture, Jethro Nagel.
I know. But no, you're right. They do come in with form because they are looking to be good for the classics coming up, which is what we're talking about right after this little news section. Now, I've got a bone to pick with Israel Premier Tech Academy. The Tour of Rwanda is on right now, Tommy.
Yeah, stage 2 is happening right now.
Stage 2 is happening right now. Of course, Rwanda Worlds, we'll talk about that in a very quick second, which isn't happening. My man, Brady Gilmore, the boy from Kalgoorlie, the man who I think is just the most overlooked rider. I cannot believe he's not on the main team right now. He should be. He's there racing for the academy team. Yep. He's getting used and abused. First stage, he was, I think, 8th in the TT. Little prologue. 5 minutes.
Little blast.
That's really for your sprinters. In the second stage, he's on lead-out duties for an Israeli rider, who, fair enough, has got decent results. Not better than Brady, though. And he's let him out, and he's finished only 2 bike lengths behind him in 5th place. 2 bike lengths behind him in 5th place after doing the entire lead-out. That man could have won that stage easily, Brady Gilmore. So I'm upset with the Israel Premier Tech Academy. Just give the boy his chance. Let the boy from Kalgoorlie be the leader, and he'll win every single stage.
A lot of faith here from the man in the West. Unsurprisingly, a little bit of bias here on this beautiful deck overlooking the greatest state on earth.
He's bloody good. And
look, you are underestimating the winner of that stage, Henok Mulliban. He's going on one tour of Qinghai, rides with XDS Astana.
The Aerotrain?
The Aerotrain. He's a quality rider. He's at home at altitude. And he does have a rapid finish as well.
He does, but he would have been smoked if Gilmore was in the back seat rather than in the front seat driving it. Now, I did talk to Brady, and he said that after today's stage 2, he has full leadership for the rest of the tour.
I think it changes.
But he also said, but I can win these stages. I just have to do the work at the start. So he reckons he can win the stages already. Like, I also agree. So look out for Brady Gilmore, Tour of Rwanda. He'll be the Joe Blackmore.
Where can you watch Tour of Rwanda, mate?
Good question. Great question. I have no idea. Just look at First Cycling the next day. Now, into our news, it leads into our Rwanda World News, Tommy. Now, there's been a lot of interesting stuff come out this week. The actual European Union, in their parliament, they are now actually put forward to their parliament area in their big meetings for the Rwanda Worlds to be cancelled due to all the wars and the infighting that's going on over there. And they've put that forward to vote in however that process gets carried out. Whether that gets voted as yes they should, I don't know how the UCI, whether they have to take that on. I don't actually know. But it's just another nail in the coffin for this race.
Look, it'd be pretty bad if, obviously, the European Union said, we don't want this to go ahead, this event.
How could you go against that?
And then the UCI went and did it. That's just from sort of a pub view, so to speak. It's a complicated situation. There's a lot of fluid moving parts. And to be honest, it doesn't help that Tour of Rwanda is on literally right now. So if this race is pulled off and it's successful, then it, obviously as the situation develops throughout the year, they will have a win on the board, the host nation, of saying that this is how it is. It also murkies, the water's a little bit murkier because we know ASO, they're contracted to run Worlds over there. So the money's sort of coming into, I dare say, the UCI's biggest opponent
Yeah.
So there are a lot of factors here.
And while he was there, while this was all happening, at this very same week, obviously when Tour of Rwanda started, the UCI president, David Lepartiant, he was there and he was waving the flags and he was doing all the dignitaries, of course, because leading up to the Rwanda Worlds. And they asked him to point frankly, the media asked him point blankly direct, what's going on? Is there a plan B? We've heard the rumours about the Swiss course.
This is a good quote.
And he said there is no plan B for Worlds 2025. So, you know what?
You reckon there are plan B though? You reckon there is a plan B?
The rumour is it's just the Swiss course that was cancelled for the COVID year 2020 in 2020. That's been put as the backup plan, and it makes sense because Rwanda Worlds is going to be a climbing heavy course, like 4,000 metres. The Swiss course for 2020 that was going to be used in Algiers, I can't remember where it was. We talked about it earlier. That's also a climbing heavy course. So if you're going to move a world somewhere else last minute, you do want to keep the parkour the same. So maybe
to keep it fair, yes, you do.
Maybe the UCI is actually waiting for the Parliament, the European Union Parliament, to say no, we should cancel it, and that's their out.
Just bring it back down to Australia, mate. We'll be able to host it safely down here. Get it back to Perth.
Mate.
We've got a good circuit for you.
Now, what about what's happening here? The one cycling thing. This is one cycling to explain to everyone. I haven't got the full explainer, but basically, think Live Golf for cycling. I think that's the best way.
Saudi money has sort of, alongside with Richard Pluge, who's the head of Visma, Lisa Bike.
Yep.
They've got an entity going called One Cycling, where they're trying to sort of see if they can sort of create a new business model that is more financially sustainable.
Yep.
And at the moment, the UCI, they're not really come to the table for this. This is just the teams.
Yeah, it's just the teams.
And now the UCI is exploring its own reform efforts to try and counter One Cycling. In a sense, this was broken by Chris Marshall-Bell over at Escape during the week. They want to see if they can streamline the calendar, and they also just want to see if they can make economical shift to bring money into the sport.
Yeah, and more longevity for the teams, because in this model, the One Cycling model, the revenue that is generated by watching the races would be shared back into the teams, giving them sustainable funding, which means
rather than relying primarily on
big
private
oligarchs
sponsorship
from oil just digging their boots in, and of course just random sponsorships around the piece. So interesting to see how that will play out. Well, you're getting a phone call.
I'm getting a phone call.
Is that Brady Gilmore calling to say I'm about to win stage 3?
He's got the Velo phone call.
Watch this space.
That's a slab of beer, unfortunately, for me.
Watch this space on the One Cycling saga. We've got our opening weekend preview coming up right on the other side of this.
Well, Jet, we've been speaking about opening weekend, but what is opening weekend? It's 2 races back-to-back. On Saturday, Omloop Nieuwsblad. It is going to be the 80th odd edition of this race, and it's the first real taste of the Cobbled Classics, mate. That's why we're so excited. We've seen, the hot Aussie summer, UAE, boring racing in the desert. Now it's time to go back to the pure form of cycling, racing down narrow lanes through Belgium on the cobbles.
It's huge. It's where I think the cycling world really starts. Omloop and then KUURNE-BRUSSELS-KUURNE. Omloop you can watch on SBS, by the way, on demand for you Australians. Don't know how Europe and UK watch it these days without GCN, but just use TIS Cycling. This is, when I think about the classics, Tommy, and the opening weekend, what it means to me is I reckon it's like the Colosseum. It's the Colosseum of cycling, because you get the cobbled sectors for the first time of the year. You get the cobbled climbs for the first time. This is not normal climbs you would choose to ride up or normal roads you would choose to ride down if you had the choice. No way you would ride up that. No way you would ride down that cobbled lane that's got missing blocks and there's mud and there's a tractor. You're taking the nice smooth tarmac, Tommy, but this is where we get to see the best start lists start to form, and they all go head-to-head on this filthy terrain. It's just so exciting.
Nah, it is. And speaking of start lists, it is an absolute doozy that we have for the 80th edition of Omloop. Last year's winner, it was Jan Traknik. He's gone from Visma Lisa Bike over to Red Bull. But this year's route, mate. About 190 odd kilometres. 1,600 metres of vert, but it's all the climbs, all the bergs that are backed into the tail end of the race, the last 50 to 80 kilometres of the cobbled climbs, that are going to make the race decisive, explosive, tear the race apart.
And that's where to tune in. You want to tune in around that 80 kilometres to go mark, in my opinion, because that is when they hit the sort of first round of cobbled climbs and cobbled sectors, and then they start to sort of loop around and just hit them again and again and again. And it's the repeated nature of the climbs that make this 198k circuit so difficult. Now, the big thing about the opening weekend is all the hitters turn up, Tommy, and who are some of the contenders we've got on the start list for our men's race?
Well, top of the list, mate, would have to be Tommy Pidcock. He's already in great form in 2025. He's had 4 wins already from a couple of races. Not well to a level, though, I'll note, but still against quality competition.
Yep.
He's going all right. And he went all right down in Volta Andalusia over the weekend. He is going to rock up in great form. He's not there by himself, though. Wout van Aert, Jumba, the Visma boys, they're rolling in, and I reckon he's my tip. I'm going to go early on the record here and grab him. I'm going to grab him early. Wout is my man this weekend.
Big names. You got Gourmet is there, Matteo Jorgensen. You've got I said Gourmet. We've got Traknik, last year's winner. Jasper Philipsen is there. He's got Caden Groves with him as well. There is UAE's team is stacked. Morgado is there. Tim Wellens. They've got a host of names who can go crazy. There's just, when you look at the start list, Tom, there is so many teams with multiple riders who could win, and that's when it makes it really juicy. If there's just one team that's got one big star, or one team that's absolutely fully loaded, everyone else is weak as piss, you're like, you kind of know what's going to happen. But for this start list, no Van der Poel, you've got a really even set of teams here, and it's just, I'm licking my lips, mate. I can see on the table outside there, you've got the Saladas, the Arnott Saladas. They are the plainest biscuit of all time, and my mouth is still watering at this start list.
Yeah, no, it is. It's juicy. Jasper Philipsen, second in Roubaix last year. Probably would have won it if it wasn't for his teammate Matthew Van der Poel.
He did play the team role, yep.
Fascinating Van der Poel's not here. What do you make of that?
Well, he's driving his Lambo, mate, and like the old saying goes, it's very hard to peak and win Omloop. I think there's only one rider ever who's won Omloop Nieuwsblad and then won Flanders, and I believe it is Tom Boonen. The great man, he loves the nose beer.
He does.
He loves
I think that's you can go say that's safe on record.
He also
isn't it?
loves. He had a very young girlfriend when he was a cyclist too. He had a 16-year-old girlfriend. Look it up. He did.
I'm not looking
That's
that
a bit
up.
sus for mine, Big Boonen. And also one other thing with the Boon Dog. His neck is huge. He's got a huge neck. It's long.
Yeah,
He's got a
Palmares
long
is bigger
neck.
than your neck. I can tell you that much. Nah, look, it's gonna be good. Binim Grimet's a rider to keep your eye out for this weekend at Eritrean.
Yes.
He's had an earlier build-up in his season. He started at Mallorca Challenge.
Yes.
Normally, he actually skips opening weekend for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So he just goes straight into sort of like Gent Wevelgem or something like
He's won
that.
before, yeah.
So the African, the Eritrean, I reckon he's not messing around this classic season. I reckon he'll be somewhere on the podium.
I reckon you're close. I don't think he's in form enough to win, but I reckon he will be sniffing around the podium. His form looks okay enough to be there, what we've seen so far this year. For me, I actually, as much as I want to pick Morgado, the great Portuguese tart,
You do love him,
I
don't you?
love the great man, but Pidcock, for me, I just have a feeling that Pidcock, the gravy train, is going to roll on, and the small man with the ginormous
Does he have the team,
helmet... his team's rubbish. The team that he's got with him, he might as well just go by himself and forget the team bus, just come in the team car. Come in the team mini, because the team sucks.
Oh, he's got Frederick Friesen alongside him.
Oh, of
Giacomo
course.
Nazzolo. What's he going to do? What's he going to do for him?
He's just there for the Italian paycheck. So I like Pidcock. You like Wout van Aert, Tommy?
I do. Lock it in.
Okay, so lock in the tips. Interested to see what you guys think. Drop your picks in the comments on YouTube, or send us a message and tell us your pick.
But also, what do you make as well of... So, Alpecin Cornic, you spoke about this earlier off air. Caden Groves is being brought to this race alongside Jasper Philipsen.
First race of the season.
Are we seeing the first two times where maybe management just kind of... Because they're ruthless, Alpecin
Yeah,
Cornic.
they are. They are.
Is this the first time we're saying whoever's better on the day will win?
For me, I think Philipsen is just getting a taste of the cobbles throughout Roubaix. I think Roubaix he's going to be maybe equal favourite. You know, if the scenario lands in a sprint, you go for Philipsen. But Groves, I reckon he's just there to enter his season, and they'll give him favouritism for Kuurne. on the Sunday, because that's more of a sprinter's race, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, because Philipson's not a sprinter.
Well, I don't know. He's definitely more versatile than. Well, they're both very similar, really. To be fair,
are.
So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. They've got Gianni Vermeersch, the rider that everybody hates in the peloton because he sucks. Not as a rider, he's an elite rider, but everyone hates him because he pushes riders, he hits them in the pass. He's got a bad reputation, Gianni, but he's a good rider.
He's a naughty boy.
First Gravel World Championship as well, the big man. But you've got Wout. I have got the great man Tom Pidcock with the big helmet. What happens if I'm right and you're wrong?
I'll buy a slab.
Another notch in the belt for me.
You're scrambling. You're scrambling for wins here, mate. After I torched you. I nearly torched your time up Northern Summit.
No chance.
I nearly did.
The women's, Tommy, as well. The women's is on the same day, I believe.
Yes, the 21st edition. Don't hold me to that, but they're or thereabouts. 138 kilometres.
Yep,
roughly around the same elevation.
Yeah, same. They basically start. They do less of the prelude. They do about 60 k's of sort of the flat start, and then they hit the climbs with about, say, 50 k's to go. About 80 k's in of sort of prelude, boring flat stuff, and then 50 k's to go. They hit all the climbs, so that's when I would be tuning in. Huge names on the start list, just like the men's. You just can't read them all out. They're all there. Vollering is here. Werbis is here. Niwadoma Fimi is here. Puck Peterson is here. Alison Jackson is here. We've got Lippert. We've got just every big star is here, maybe except for, I would say, Van der Breggen. She's not here, a former two-time winner. For me, Tommy, in this race, I can't go past my pick for Classic Star of the Year, Puck Peterson.
She's such a climby rider, though. Is this too... does she have the punch?
She's a cyclocross beast. She's got the punch.
She got the punch?
She nuked Vollering and Niwadoma in the punchy Ardennes stage at Liège in the Tour last year. She's got the punch, mate. She's been on the podium with Strada Bianchi, mate.
Yeah, okay. She definitely does have the punch.
She's got the punch, mate.
What are your thoughts on Lorena Weeps? Is she going to be able to make it towards the end of this race? Is it
also
too hard?
No, she's the Werbis is pretty much, if you really only follow the men's side of the sport and you know that Werbis can sprint as the fastest sprinter, I reckon most people would know that. Werbis is like Philipson. She is, yes, the fastest sprinter in the world. Philipson, not so much in my opinion this year, but her ability beyond her sprint is very good. She can handle herself, for sure.
Well, it's going to be fascinating because I'm going to back her then. I'm going to pick her. I reckon she cleaned up down at UAE. She won 3 of the 4 stages
she's in
at
shape.
UAE.
Yep.
So she's absolutely flying. The form indicators tell me.
Now, we've got KUURNE-BRUSSELS-KUURNE on the Sunday. This is why opening weekend is so good. You get one huge haymaker classic on the Saturday, and then, of course, we've got KUURNE-BRUSSELS-KUURNE the next day. Now, Kuurne typically is the more sprinter-friendly race. It has a slightly easier parcours, known for a bit more crosswinds, but history has shown that the sprinters win this race. And I tell you what, you put it down in the notes here, and I'm glad you did. Often they have the same start list for both races, but then after the Omloop, riders are swapped and changed. Maybe riders who didn't go well in Omloop are flicked out. Some who did well, maybe some who DNF'd early. They want that race in their legs, so they stay on. And then other teams bring in sprinters specifically for Kuurne.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes they just trade these riders in and out. They've got them sitting there in the wings, so they bring them in for Kuurne because Kuurne, it's not a World Tour race, but it's still a 1.1. So it's
got a lot of prestige. It has a lot of prestige for a 1.1.
It's sort of tagged on its prestige onto the back of Omloop.
Yeah.
Which is no bad way of saying, it's not worth winning. You still want to win. If you still win Kuurne, it still can, it's still a massive victory in your season.
Any Cobbled Classic, whether it's a smaller midweek one, a Kuurne, an Omloop, or a Flanders, if you've got one of those on your palmarès as a professional rider, men's or women's, you're seen as a hard unit, and you wouldn't be paying for a beverage anywhere in Flanders, Belgian region.
Now, I couldn't tell you where I read this, but I read it. No riders ever won Omloop and Kuurne on the same weekend.
Oh, I think the only one... This used to be the big battle between, in the men's side, Sagan and Greg Van Avermaet. I'm pretty sure they've been on the first and second. They've both done it. They've been first one race, second the next.
But they haven't won. No.
Sagan was the only one who could really do both because he could win the cobbled, hilly, punchy one on the Saturday Omloop, and then he's fast enough back in the day to win Kuurne, but he always got fucking rinsed by GVA, who just sit on his wheel. I used to hate it. So it's a good stat, and again, we call back to that same old thing, and this is why Van der Poel isn't here. We'd said it before, it's just very hard to peak at this time of the year for classics and then peak at Flanders and Roubaix. So whoever does win in these races, it's going to be interesting to see how their form goes when we get to the big dances, Flanders and Roubaix, which we will have previews for.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big note of admission for this weekend, Mads Pedersen. He's not there as well, the big Dane. So that's a bit of a fascinating move by Trek, Little Trek, to leave him off the roster, or at least he's still building up nicely towards the big monuments, like you said. Mate, this is chalk and cheese, in my opinion, Philipsen for me.
You're taking Philipsen?
Yeah,
I can't go past. Or if I haven't seen the start list because it's not fully confirmed yet, but I reckon they'll slot Merlier in there for quick step.
Yeah, they will.
And
they
then
absolutely
if Merlier races, there's no way he loses. He is just so fast. I think he wins, and I think he beats Philipsen in a head-to-head sprint. That's my tip by 3 bike lengths.
Nah, no chance. We're on. I like this. We're not picking the same people. Sometimes when we do that, I get a bit annoyed.
I know, it's good. We want to have a bit of difference. We want to know what you guys think as well, so drop it in the comments. Now, we've got our... Oh, you know what arrived today? I've got to move to our FE Sports plug because we love FE Sports, supporters of ours for over 18 months here of TPR and now Roadside Tommy. My Magene XR Ultra Dark wheels arrived on Monday morning, and I actually sent an email. I was like, "Where's my tracking?"
You sent it out, you dickhead. You absolute nuffy.
Usually they send it the next day. I'm talking Star Trek Express the next day. They weren't there. Had to wait a whole week, but my wheels arrived.
Woe is you. Do you have a bike to put them on?
I do. I built it up yesterday.
You
Now,
built it up yourself?
Well,
you back yourself to build it up?
Canyons come 95% built.
Okay.
So they come, all you have to do is screw in the handlebars and chuck the batteries in the ETAP derailleurs and then put the wheels on. You're done.
You're away in racing.
That's it.
But
Isn't
now
that
you
amazing?
are trying to change the rotor across and...
No, I got fresh rotors, mate. I got fresh rotors. I got the fresh Pirelli P0 Race TLR Team Editions on there. Now, I tell you...
Yeah, so what hoops did you get in?
I got they're called XR Ultra Darks, the 50 at the front, 58mm at the rear.
I like that, yeah.
They look so nice. And to be honest, these are under $2,000 Australian. They weigh 1390 grams, Tommy. And in the box, I was so impressed with how it was all packaged and wrapped, and it just looked...
You're a fussy prick like that. You are, aren't you? You pick that apart, don't you?
So I can't wait. I'm going to ride it for the first time, maybe on Thursday. And the Canyon, and with these Magines, with my Pirellis. Oh, I'm so excited. 3 Peaks can't come soon enough, mate.
Mate, it's not going to help you at all during 3 Peaks. I can guarantee you that. You're still going to be scrambling for an easier gear.
You know, I've moved myself up in the waves I'm going to start in. So originally,
how many
3
hours
peaks,
are you doing the week on the bike?
Well, I'm doing 1 or 2.
Hours?
I'm doing other training. Yes, I'm doing other training.
It doesn't translate.
It does. It does. I was slotted myself in the 12-hour group, which is the second last hour group you can be in for 3 Peaks, the hardest Australian fondo. But then I just got wind of a bit of form the other week when I was on the burger ride after work, and I thought, you know what, I might slot into the 11-hour group. And then I saw a few mates were doing the 10-hour group, and I thought, you know what, I'm starting the 10-hour group, Tommy.
You're going to blow your load and you're going to roll out to the 12-hour group. You are going to be...
But if I fall through the arse of the 10-hour group...
We've both seen it at these events where you go, there's the dickhead who comes across the line 3 hours behind because he's just gone to Obliterados Central, the Shadow Realm.
I've got enough mates in this 3 Peaks group, mate, that they'll give you a few pushes, a few
I'm
gels.
so sorry for the MC who's just going to be standing around waiting for this number 189 Jethro Gummy Nagel to come in.
Tommy, let's put some money on this. No, not money. Let's put. What if I stay with the 10 hours? What if I do it in 10 hours flat?
I'll buy you brekkie.
Oh, and what if I don't?
You buy me brekkie.
Oh, I reckon that sounds pretty good.
That's how your bets work.
All right, okay, yeah. All right, well, we've got our Classics preview. That is what we've got for today. Make sure you do follow along on SBS On Demand. You can watch it there, or Tis Cycling if you're from Europe or you don't want to use SBS, whatever you like, because it's all...
To be honest, bring on SBS, hey. Like, I've been watching a bit of racing on the Tis, and look, it's the fallback option, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the SBS coverage.
Okay, yeah, well, it's going to be good either way, however you want to watch it. And I hope you enjoyed the preview as well. We'll do more previews for the big races. Milano San Remo, we'll do a preview for Tommy. What else we do? Flanders, of course. Roubaix.
All the big monuments.
The classics. The big monuments. And, of course, we've got our normal fortnightly Roadside show
We
next
do.
week.
We
Tommy.
do. This little hiatus, the little speed bump that popped up, and we thought, we'd do a little pod and maybe crack a beer on the deck after this.
Sounds bloody good to me. Actually, no beers for me because I've got peaks coming up in 2 weeks.